Husbands, husbands. Husbands are the ones that are quick to come in with solutions, When the wife says, oh, today I had hard time at work, my boss is terrible, he's so demanding, and the husband says, quit lah. That's solution giving, But that's not what the wife was looking for. I'm Parkson, a father and grandfather, a relationship coach, and author of The Modern Day Dad.
And I'm Hafiz, a father of 4, a transformational coach, and a dad in progress.
We Are Dads Too is a podcast for fathers by fathers. Each week we have conversations about different aspects of fathering. We will also be talking with experts to get their opinions or have other dads to join us too.
Because we are dads too, we understand the challenges dads face. Our children grow up way too fast, so we need to take effective action that involves personal and lasting change for our children and also for ourselves. Let's go on a transformational journey together because we are dads too.
Hey Hafiz, what do
Hey.
you think is the key to a successful marriage?
This is a question that I have been wondering all my life.
All your life, huh? I hope you already have the answer. How long have you been married?
This year would be 26 years.
26.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Congratulations, man.
Right.
Okay. Well, I'm a little ahead of you. I think this year would be our 31st. I think so. Yes, 2021. Correct. Last year was 30th. This year is 31st. So what do you think? Key to a successful marriage? Is it love?
Well, I think this question is not an easy question to answer, but I think let's put it simply. All right. And what we are going to be discussing today is very related to it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
All right. Is connection.
Yes. Intimacy, connection.
Yeah.
Heart to heart, not just mind to mind.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Yes. Connection, because we are not just human beings with a body, we are human beings with a soul. We are social beings. And social beings are constantly needing connection, belonging, and things like that. So, I would agree with that. I would say connection is one. I didn't think of that. I was thinking of communication. Communication is also a means, I think, to achieving that connection, right? An intimacy. Just like I would use the example of a nervous system. The nervous system is the key to the proper functioning of the whole body, and most of it runs through the spinal column. So in the same way, communication in marriage is the backbone of a marriage relationship. When communication breaks down, I think the marriage also begins to break down. When couples, cannot talk to one another or don't know what to say to each other, that's where the relationship begins to break down, and they feel that the distance between them is increasing.
Yeah. Why I say connection is because probably the most familiar person is sometimes the person that you take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And our spouse, our partner, he or she probably is the most familiar person,
That's right.
right? And we connect. We think we connect with each other every day. We think we communicate with each other every day.
That's right.
However, I think in familiarity, sometimes what the word say,
Breeds
breeds
contempt.
and it is only natural sometimes,
Yeah.
because when you are familiar with something, everything goes autopilot.
Exactly.
And when everything goes autopilot, you are not aware of things that you do, you say, you feel sometimes. So I thought, not only in marriage, but in any form of relationship, to me, the first thing we need to settle or agree upon or to really examine is connection. Yeah, even in my work, I do a lot of social development work. We need to connect with our beneficiaries. We need to connect with our partners. We need to connect with, our staff, our volunteers. If that's the first thing that we forget, the rest doesn't count.
Yep. I think that's important. People need to feel that you are genuine, you're sincere, and you're not just being a salesman having a target to fulfill, and therefore you want to, you just want him to sign on the dotted line and close the deal. And that's true for boy-girl relationship. During courtship days, the boy and girl are always very open, very lively, wanting to talk a lot and curious to find out more about each other. Okay, but the thing is, the day after the wedding, things change. Well, they feel that they know each other already, and then worse still when the baby comes, and that's where, really things kind of go downhill, right? And there was this survey done by Focus on the Family recently, and they surveyed 700 married people, not couples, just people. So some of them are answered by the husbands, some of them answered by the wives. And I just want to pick up two of the findings which I think are interesting and relates to the issue, the topic of communication. And one of them is 2 in 10 of the 700 participants of this survey shared that they felt detached from their spouse. And this is exactly what you're talking about, connection, They felt detached from their spouse. There's this distance, a rift between them, and they don't understand why, what happened. Now, it might sound like a small number, 2 in 10. Quite a small number, right? It's not.
And this is this a physical detachment or mental, spiritual, emotional?
I think it's more emotional.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're still married. Okay, no further details are available, so I'm just assuming they're still married and living in the same house, but they feel this distance between them. It's like two ships passing in the night. So it might sound like a small number, 2 in 10, but 20% is not small. I mean, if you buy something and you're given a 20% discount, you'll be very happy, right?
I'll go for it.
So 20% is not a small number.
The problem is can increase.
Correct.
More than that.
It will
Yeah,
increase.
it will
It's likely to increase. It's a slippery slope. It will go down. Now, just imagine if 20% of Singaporeans have diabetes. I'm not exactly sure what the number is. It would be considered an epidemic.
It's one too many. 20% is 1 out of 5.
Yes.
So if you have 5 people around, 1% probably feel like that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. So in the same way, I believe that this finding reflects or tells us that there is a epidemic of a lack of intimacy in marriage. In other words, many married people are feeling lonely. We're not talking about solitude, it's solitude sometimes is healthy, all right? But when you feel lonely, that's a totally different thing.
Yeah, communication is such a big topic, like many of the topics that we are dealing in this podcast. However, I thought we should, I must always mention, all right, sometimes we're not aware of the different personalities that we have, all right? And we spoke about this probably a few episodes ago. And when we know our personalities, we tend to put ourselves in the boxes and then judge people and talk to people according to a box that we thought the person is. And what more, someone very familiar. Okay, I know my wife, I know my husband. He or she is like that always. The things that we discuss. Putting everything in the extreme. So how does communication? How should communication look like between husband and wife who are so familiar with each other, who gone through the ups and downs? No couple probably have not gone through arguments. I've not gone through difficulties, and therefore there may be memories, emotions, unsettled things, that we probably talk about in the next episode about conflict management and things like that. But I think the basic things about how do couples, what are the basic things that should couples look into when they are communicating well? Yeah.
Well, I want to say that I'm presuming that most couples, when they were dating, as I mentioned earlier, they talk a lot, all right? They talk a lot, they share a lot, and they're always asking questions, and and everything they learn, every new thing they learn about their partner is interesting. It's a big discovery. Wow, and the admiration and the fondness increases. Now, if we can trace back, all right, or kind of work backwards, okay, whatever stage of marriage you're in today, whether you're 5 years married, 10 years married, 20 years married, if you can just trace back to the beginning, all right, when you were dating or first year of your marriage, called the honeymoon stage, whatever you were doing, whatever it was like, let's try to go back to that and let's try to revive that. That would be kind of the goal, the easiest way for the couples to know what to aim for, all right? And because actually they were already doing that at one time.
Yeah.
It's just that life circumstances, as I mentioned, like the arrival of the baby, first baby, then the second baby, it kind of throws them off, you know? Now they have something else to focus on. They become new parents, and it's a very frightening transition, you know, into parenthood. And so all their attention is now focused on that little baby, and they're wondering, am I doing the right thing or not? And the conversation becomes very transactional, okay? The woman, the mother, you know, who has just given birth, and now the hormones are again changing, you know, and adjusting to this new role of motherhood. She's probably not very in the mood of talking, and not to needless to say, sex.
Yeah.
And so the husband will feel kind of, you know, alone and feel sidelined and feeling, you know, abandoned, you see. And so communication becomes very transactional. Now, what do I mean transactional? For example, you know, they will talk about superficial things and, you know, just factual. Have you bought the milk? Did you pay the bills? Oh, by the way, your mother called, you know. And that's about it, you see. So in order to revive the intimacy and communication, I think is to talk about deeper stuff, about how they feel, you know, and also look forward, talk about their dreams, and talk about, you know, planning the future and things like that. And incidentally, in Singapore, the highest rate of divorce happens among those married between 5 and 9 years. Now, if you kind of superimpose that with the kind of the timeline of a married couple, you know, would probably give birth to their first child around the second or third year, some fourth year of their married life, you know. And so, according to John Gottman, who I quote quite a lot, he says that 67% of couples will experience a significant drop in their marital quality within 3 years of their first child. Okay, or the arrival of a child. It will happen again when the second child comes. So if you imagine the marital quality drops within the 3 years of the arrival of the child, okay, and assuming they don't recover, and most of them don't recover, okay, it becomes a new normal. It becomes a habit. They don't talk deeply. They just talk superficially, you know, and they now focus on the child who is now 2 or 3 years old, you know, the terrible two. Okay, so now they have a new thing on their hands, all right, and they're focused again on that. And when the second child comes, you know, then the marital quality once again gets a hit and drops. So it makes sense that, you know, within that 5 years and 9 year period, that's where most of the divorce happens. And therefore, couples need to develop the habit and the skill of communication right from the start and continue that practice so that they will not fall into this trap.
Yeah. I still not want for us to probably just list tips, list you know, how to's, but to bring awareness in this topic for most of us who are married, you know, either for a while, for a long time, and focus on what are the basics. So I was thinking, despite the different personalities, some people, you know, in communication like to talk. I mean, to talk as in get others heard what they think. Some people, they think inside first, then they talk. Others, you know, they want to tell stories, you know, having images in their mind and get things across. You know, we have different personalities, right? We can know this through so many personality profiling. regardless of all these personalities, right? I thought one important aspect of communication is to feel. I mean, this is not a overused word, but I thought after some thoughts, it's very critical to be empathetic to the person we speak to. So I think I've quoted this before by someone that I heard. She asked me this question: who is the most important person? Right? And we tried to answer this and that. My father, my mother, my wife. No, it's a person in front of you. Right? And usually people come to you with an agenda, their own agenda. Usually, right? People say that, okay, I have this problem. This is my experience for the day. And if you're not in the mood or you're not in sync with them, they will feel it. And they will probably feel that you think that it's not important what they're saying to you. And I think this is often happens when in a husband-wife relationship, when the husband tries to say something or the wife tries to say something, the rest just switch off because I know what she's going to say next. I know what he's going to say next.
A lot of complete their sentences.
Yeah, so a lot of judgment, a lot of no more curiosity. Remember when you say that before, after a few maybe years of marriage, it's still there's still curiosity, all right, between the both of us. But once you know the pattern, as again, you become autopilot and you begin to make judgment. So from empathy, I thought the feeling or the attitude that we should be curious, all right, about what, look for something new that when you speak to your wife or husband, what he's trying to say, okay? And when you have empathy with your wife or your husband, I think you can never go wrong.
That's right. I totally agree with that. But I'm sure many will also say, it's hard to have empathy when you are under so much stress.
True.
Because you're under a lot of stress, you tend to focus on yourself, and you don't really have a lot of energy, emotional capacity left to really, try to understand and to feel what other people are feeling and things like that. And that's, I guess, that's where the problem starts, and we become impatient. And, we says, oh, I've heard that before, I've heard that before. Why you bring it up again and things like that. Yeah. And I think maybe to put it very simply, maybe the good advice would be interested, being curious, be interested. There's no longer a need to be interesting. That's reserved for the courtship days. We're always trying to be interesting and impress one another. Once you're married, just continue to be interested, you see, because we are all going through life. We are going through different stages, and we are changing. There are new things in our lives, new things happening to us, and we need to keep updated, all right? Updating each other about what's happening to us. So be interested with one another. What's happening to our lives? What are we thinking? What are we feeling? And talking about stress, I think at the end of the day, one of the things couples can do to maintain that connection is to have a stress-relieving conversation. All right?
Interesting.
Yeah, stress-relieving conversation. You see, we are human beings who want and need to be heard, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right? We want someone to hear us, okay? We want the attention. We want also the affection.
Yeah.
We want affirmation. When we have done well, we want someone to say to us, well done. And we also want empathy and understanding, as you mentioned, all right? And finally, we want solutions. But solutions is only when we ask for it. Yeah. Husbands are the ones that are quick to come in with solutions, When the wife says, oh, today I had hard time at work, my boss is terrible, he's so demanding, and the husband says, quit lah. That's a solution giving, But that's not what the wife was looking for. The wife was looking for, oh, poor thing, I can imagine how you're feeling right now, okay? The other word I missed out is alliance.
Okay.
And alliance simply means, we need to know that someone is on our side. Because when you go out into the world, sometimes you can feel alone. It's like me against the world. And when I come home, especially when you're married, you really hope that your spouse is on your side. You see? For example, if the wife complains to the husband, today I felt so unfair. My colleague was kind of undermined me and things like that, or I got scolded by my boss. Oh, why did you get scolded? Oh, because I did this, and then the husband says, I think they got a point there.
Yeah.
So the wife will feel really abandoned. Hey, you're supposed to be on my side, So alliance is one very important thing, okay? Even though if your wife is wrong, be on her side first, says, okay, I'm on your side. Let's figure this out, Tell me more and let's, and see what we can do about it.
When you say about women, generally, always look for solutions. That's why most of us are engineers, right?
Yeah.
Or fixers, we cannot see anything. That's the strength of being a man, right? I have probably some one not trick, but something that I do. I mean, it's not easy. Your wife coming back and telling you, even in any situation, her experience, and you think that, hey, that is quite straightforward. You can just solve that problem.
Exactly.
So what I do, because I cannot, ignore this solution-oriented brain, and I also realize that I cannot, because when I look at her, because you need to look at the person you're talking, right?
Yes,
otherwise,
I hope you do.
Yeah. Otherwise, she or she know that, hey, what? You're not listening.
Yeah, you're watching the TV.
But the problem is when you look at the person who is talking, you tend to be drawn into their thinking, their emotions, and so on. So what do? All right, I still look, but I will focus on that part that I like about her.
Okay,
right?
about her.
So that will remind me that, that will take my mind away from being solution oriented, but at the same time, not be so stressed about that issues, problems, and so on that is running through my mind, and have that emotion, show that emotion that I'm listening, I'm happy, and those are very important for the other person to continue telling her or his side of the story. I mean, this is a mind hack. I mean, I'm not saying that we are trying to cheat or we are trying to trick or what, but sometimes you got to get into the habit of changing your behavior through ways that, it works, but at the same time be aware that you still need to listen. So because the eyes will always be affected by what it sees. But at the same time, if you can differentiate what you hear and from what you see, that would be amazing. And I've been practicing that, although it's not easy, I can tell you.
Okay. I don't want to ask you which part of your wife do you focus
that's
on.
a secret.
I hope
me.
it's not the toe. You look at the toe and you're always looking down. And then finally you say, your toe is crooked, I just noticed.
Yeah. So okay, when you say that, for example, it just reminds me, what habit should we have to make sure that any kind of relationship gets better? I mean, for good relationship, what are the habits? So I mentioned to you just now about being curious, Then one is connect, right? Don't correct. So this is something that we also tend to do, right? When we see anything wrong. And this is normal in our brain, right? The so-called amygdala. When something is not right, you straight away get triggered. And we tend to correct things. And this is also the same when we see our children, right? We tend to care for them, we want them to be safe and so on. We tend to want to correct them. So instead of correcting, and I mentioned this before, if you think that you're doing something which is triggering but it's quite negative, wait for 5 seconds for the amygdala.
Oh, yeah, the 5-second rule, yes.
The amygdala to cool down, and make sense again. Get the prefrontal cortex of the brain, the rational part, to take control again. And then that's where I think the connection comes, because the correcting part of the brain is where it's always looking for the alarm signs, the something which is not right. But it's the connection part is where you need to be more calm. All right, to be calm is to be able to sense the actual reality. And sometimes when we communicate, there's no illusion. There's a lot of things which are what you see is not what you get actually. What you see is the behavior, for example, is not what actually is. So go beyond that behavior. Go beyond that what you see first, and give that curiosity, the doubt. I mean the benefit of the doubt. All right, to your other half, so that you don't make the wrong decision in communication. Yeah.
Wow. So what you just said, I want to repeat it because it's so powerful. Connect and not correct. Yeah, I think especially for we guys, we are solution oriented, we're solution minded, and we tend to jump in thinking that by providing the solution, we can end the conversations, discussion over. Just do that, as I say. It's like a doctor, just take this 3 times a day and
Yeah.
call me in the morning, and things like
Right,
that.
right.
But that doesn't bring about intimacy, that doesn't bring about empathy, like you mentioned, really brings about intimacy. It makes your partner, your spouse feel that you are with her, you are listening, and you are understanding her, you're on her side, and then finally when she says, what should I do, then you come in with a solution, right?
Yes.
There's another time. I mean, okay, stress relieving conversations can be done, for example, if you are driving your wife, picking up your wife from her workplace back home, all right? You can be having that conversation in the car, provided you're not stuck in traffic, because
Okay,
you're
that's
going to be
another issue.
frustrated, and you're not in the mood, in the right frame of mind to have this stress relieving conversation.
Okay.
Or you can, do it after dinner, or maybe bedtime. Just get into bed at the same time. I know some go to bed earlier and some go to bed later, and they say, we don't go to bed together. Well, make it a point to go to bed together. Spend about 15 minutes having a conversation. All right. Now you can snuggle up in bed, you can cuddle each other and have the conversation. And if you are not ready to sleep, then after that conversation, when your wife falls asleep, you get up and watch TV, do your work, or anything like that. So those are very good times. You don't just wait for opportunity. You create the opportunity to have a conversation. And do it as often as you can, daily, if possible, so that that connection is maintained on the daily basis.
You mentioned about stress relieving conversation. In the beginning, we mentioned about how, I asked you, right? Is it what kind of detachment, right? I mean, they are not detached. Sorry, they are not attached. What's the word
they feel detached.
They feel detached, right? So 20%. So I ask you whether it's physical or what, then you say it's emotional. I agree. However, don't forget that physical and emotions are very much attached to one another.
Yes, you're right.
And when you touch your wife, all right, and it does have an effect. I mean, I'm talking about the sexual side of the thing, but it's about how it will help you emotionally when you have physical touch, all right, with your partner. And there's a study that actually I read about. They made an experiment, to these subjects. The first group, they give a kind of sugar pill, The second group, they give some kind of, a happy inducing pill, all right? The third one, they are told to have like at least 5 minutes of touch per day. No, this kind of just hold your hand, hold your shoulder, things like that. And after some time, they concluded that the third one, which is physical touch, has better impact or effect in terms of producing happiness, producing positive emotions.
That's right.
Even compared to the drug that was given. So it's not about whether you need to touch physically only when you need to. All right, and we always interpret
as
it
as a form of foreplay. They call it.
But every day touching itself it will release. In fact, the study said it releases certain hormones, happy inducing hormones.
That's right.
All right, that will help you, improve your relationship.
That's right. Yeah. Do you know this guy, Michelangelo? Have you met him?
I think he's dead, so I don't think I can meet
he's
him.
Dead long ago. I hope we don't meet him. Okay. Anyway, he's this famous sculptor, painter, and he's the one who painted the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, where Adam and God were almost touching their fingers.
Okay.
All right, their fingers almost touching.
Right.
He made this very very well known quote. Okay. If you do not know it, then probably it's not well known.
Okay.
He said, "To touch is to give life."
Okay.
And what you just described just now, the study, proves that. Michelangelo lived before all these studies were even done, but he had the insight to understand that touching, the physical touch, the right touch at the right place at the right time by the right person, gives life, Gives life in what sense? It relieves you of the stress. Now, it doesn't eradicate it totally, but a huge portion of it, you feel it just leaving your body. You feel calmer, you feel, you feel loved, you feel understood. And a touch, I mean, even for parents to touch their children in the right way, all right? Unfortunately, many parents do not touch their children only when they punish their children. A pat on the back communicates 1,000 words.
Yes,
1,000 words. I love you. You did well. I'm so pleased with you. I'm so proud of you. So the right touch at the right place at the right time by the right person brings life.
Wow. There's a lot to say about that, actually. I mean, in this COVID situation, right, we cannot shake hands. I mean, we are not encouraged to shake hands, so on and so forth. And therefore, it may induce stress, right? So again, let's have that in our next of the other episodes that we're going to do. All right, we will continue that. Maybe we just summarize this topic, and then conclude.
Yep, I think what we are seeing is that communication is very, very important. It's not just talking. We talk a lot. Sometimes when you are hanging out, you're just relaxing. We talk and talk and talk. We talk about the weather. We talk about sports. We talk about a lot of things. So communication in this case, what we're talking about in marriage is more than just talking. It's really, really going deep into that person, learning about each other, and showing our support, our alliance, again that word, that I'm with you, okay, and I want to understand you, I want to know you, I want to be on your side, I want to support you, and if you have any dreams, tell me about your dreams and things like that, and that really builds the intimacy and connection between the two.
Nice, Baksan. Sorry for the alarm.
You're telling me to shut up, right?
No. Because we always, go over the time, and we thought we can always save it for the next episode.
Yeah.
So let's end this for now, and we hope that we will we hear all of you again. We hear you again, and then we get the rest of the audience to be with us in the next episode.
Yes, that's right. Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye. This podcast is brought to you by Iman Catalyst Community, which is missioned to elevate hope by transforming lives through social education initiatives as well as personal development programs. We are the medium that come in between NGOs and their beneficiaries to enhance their sustainability and impact. If you'd like to know more, connect, and collaborate with us, you can reach us at Facebook and Instagram at Iman Catalyst. That's spelled EMAAN. And we would like to work and partner with you.
Thank you so much for tuning to this week's conversation. We hope that this episode helped you in your transformational journey as dads. If you like this podcast, make sure you review, follow, and share it with your friends. For more episodes and resources on fathering, check us out at We Are Dads Too on Facebook and Instagram.
We would also like to hear your comments and questions, so please feel free to share them on our FB and IG pages and also our Twitter, and be connected to other dads too. Until next time, let's take the next step to be the special dad we are meant to be. Take care and stay safe.